Hey guys, Rambo here with an updated guide for the King of Silverbacks Dark Ops challenge on Black Ops Cold War. To unlock this calling card, you'll have to accumulate 1 billion total score on Dead Ops Arcade 3. Now, I have made a video on this topic before, over 2 years ago at this point, back in February 2021, when only 20 people in the world had achieved this challenge. It's still fairly rare to this day, but with certain changes made to the game, and there being more optimized strategies over time, it's certainly gotten easier to attain, as nowadays, at least 390 players in the world have completed this challenge. So, in this video, I'll be sharing updated tips for reaching the 1 billion score as quickly as possible, and without ever having to make it past round 5. So, the most efficient way of getting 1 billion score is to essentially do score speed runs in the wild, which appears after the first arena. You'll want to play the first person playlist, with the main benefits being the ability to sprint and take multiple hits before death. Speaking of death, you'll have to get enough practice with the wild, to the point where you're not really dying at all while in this area. You'll also have to make yourself deeply familiar with certain features of the wild, such as all potential key locations, certain shortcuts you can take, etc. I have videos for stuff like that which will be referenced throughout the video. It can be a little overwhelming at first, but in my full gameplay walkthrough that I'll show later on, you'll see that it's a lot more straightforward than it may seem. Now, to eliminate the possibility of anyone saying, "Rambo, you got lucky with the keys in this run. I don't got the same luck as you. Damn it, this ain't fair." Well, let me stop you right there, as I did 15 different solo runs for this video, each approximately 20 minutes in length, and here are the results. Keep in mind, some runs I got more keys than others, a few runs I made some route mistakes and costing myself some time, there's even one run where I ended up taking a death, so there is some variance to it. But the total amount of score from these 15 runs combined was 81 million points in a little over 5 hours, or about 15.7 million points per hour. Assuming this trend stays true over time, I would have achieved the King of Silverbacks challenge in about 64 hours of gameplay, which is significantly less time than the 200-hour estimate that I provided in my original guide. 64 hours is still a lot of grinding, and I'm sure for less experienced players it would take a bit longer, but it's a lot more feasible, I think. Also, regarding tracking your score in the leaderboards, it is worth mentioning that there was an update a while back which made the total score display in thousands, which just means you need to multiply your score from the leaderboards by 1000 in order to figure out the true value. Anyways, for most of the rest of the video, there will be full gameplay of one of my cleaner wild runs with moderate RNG and some commentary over it, where I'll be dumping a bunch of useful information and other tricks related to maximizing your score. Then right after I show that run, I'll also wrap up the video with some additional information about score from certain pieces of treasure, certain enemies, and zombie spawners as well. Welcome to the gameplay / commentary segment of my King of Silverbacks guide. As alluded to earlier, we'll want to play the first person playlist, so go to solo, then Dead Ops Arcade first person solo. And if you have some XP tokens, double XP tokens, you could go ahead and pop them as well, because score runs are very similar to XP runs, since you shoot a lot of the zombie spawner heads. First person is the best way to do it, but top down is also doable if you want to change it up from time to time. It's not going to be as efficient in top down, but it's not terrible either. So here we are on round 1. There's going to be a guaranteed key at the very beginning, and some of the benefits of first person is the ability to jump, aim down your sights, slide, jump slide, and a little backwards jump slide as well. And of course the biggest thing is you can sprint. So my personal settings are 10 sensitivity, no aim assist, and auto sprint enabled, although it is a matter of personal preference, whatever you're comfortable with. So these rounds are time based, they're about 30 seconds each on the island, and you get 1 boost and 1 nuke per round, so you might as well use them, especially the nuke, to end the rounds quicker when you know the round is about to end, whether that's from you having a sense of the timings from playing it over and over, or if you pay attention to the minimap and see that there's very few dots left on the minimap. Although sometimes you do get baited, where the zombie spawns come to a complete halt, you drop a nuke, and it's like, well, actually no, the round is still going on for some reason. So during the round itself, grab the treasure that appears, work your way closer to a 2x multiplier, although don't grab gold at the end, like that gold pile right there at the right, don't even grab it, just boost towards the door, get to the next round quicker, because gold here on the 1x is going to be like breadcrumbs at the end of the day. So on round 3, usually they give you a stack of purple weapons. It's not going to be like too helpful, I guess. It's just whatever. Just grab them, clear the board, get some extra kills. Now we just completed round 3. We're going to fast forward a bit to round 4 here. Now for this particular round, I would not use your speed boost. You want to save that one boost for a trick at the beginning of the wild. Your nuke though, you could use it. You're not going to replenish the nuke when you enter the wild, but it'll save you a few seconds if you time it right at the very end. And then also you'll want to kind of end the round in a good location, such as towards the middle of the map, which will be closest to the green portal that gets you into the wild. And also, if you're next to the mama back there in the cutscene, some of the gold that she attracts towards her will end up hitting your player as well, and that could be helpful. So I dropped the nuke, 2 zombies left, end the round, and here you're going to have a 30-second mandatory cutscene. Use this time to do what you want, look at your phone, grab some G Fuel. Alright, we're going to skip ahead here to the end of round 4. Check for the arcade machine behind you. I don't see it there, so I'm going to move on and open this weapon chest here. The weapon chest is usually there. I like to open it and sort of clear these heads at the beginning. Also, I peeped inside that cage and saw that there was a key, so I'm going to go ahead and go inside the cage here in a moment once I clear these zombies. Also grab that speed boost that always spawns there. Then I'm going to do the trick over to this cage. You could check out my video if you want to know how to do that more in depth. Then once inside the cage, there's going to be a flashlight, a key, sometimes a chest, and a spring pad to get out of there. Moving on, I'm going to shoot some of these baskets, see what's going on. Nothing. There's a key over in the bushes. Going to go and grab this. And since I'm playing first person, I could save some time by kind of running across these spikes while they're active. And top down, I wouldn't be able to do that unless I had a piece of armory. I do see a key to my right. I'll circle around and get that later since I'm a bit damaged. Although a red potion here will heal me. Don't mind that. So I'm sort of just clearing these heads in a circular path here. And grabbing gold, getting closer to it 2 times. Also, I'm on the lookout for the arcade machine. There's a potential spawn here in the bushes, so I'm going to check that here in a moment. Not there, so I'm going to move on. And instead of shooting these heads, I'm going to kind of wait until I have a 2 times to shoot them. So I'm going to grab the yellow gem here and a couple other gems. Get to that 2 times, slide into the dungeon. Take a look at the dungeon, look at the mini-map, see if there's a Margwa or a Dark Crypt. There is not, so I'm just going to leave the dungeon immediately. And then shoot these 2 heads here. So the dungeon's not worth exploring unless you see an icon on the minimap for the Margwa or Dark Crypt, as I mentioned. Also, shoot these baskets when they're in bunches. You could get good drops like the Max Ammo and Furious Boots that I just got. Gonna grab that key that I mentioned earlier. So the boots last 25 seconds. They're a great drop to have. This zombie head right here, I'm not going to shoot at all. I have it 2 times right now. I'm going to shoot it once I get out of the abandoned temple. So the temple, I'm going to pop that key chest. Usually you'll want to have around 3 keys at this point, so you can pop the chest and still open the doors. So you're going to pop the chest, grab the 4 boosts, go back to collect the loot. And you will get a nuke going into this room, so I'm going to have to use it there because the Megaton was a bit too thick and blocking the pathway. But I'm going to pop these chests open, but I'm not going to open that second chest, the very small one. Because usually it'll give you 5 chickens, and chickens are not the best for score, because when they hit the zombie head, they give you less points for some reason. So unless necessary, I'm going to be skipping chickens in this run. So I could leave the temple, shoot this head now with a 5 times multiplier, not too shabby. And at this point, I should be checking for the arcade machine if it's here to the left. For some reason, I don't check it. I kind of forget all about it. So I'm going to pause the video right here and show you a couple of examples of what you would do in a slideways if you get one. So 40% of the slideways do not have a key. If you get those 2 slideways, the lava or the red skies, the desert slideways, do not explore them. The ones you want to explore, jungle, barcade, or blue skies, you'll want to speed run to the key and then leave afterwards. Maybe shoot a couple of heads if they're on your path there, but otherwise, I wouldn't really be too concerned with the slideways. It is a bit of a time waste, especially the barcade trying to get the key. But the jungle and blue skies, you could get the key fairly quickly if you utilize speed boosts on the way there. Anyways, back to the video. We're going to open this door over here, and then we're going to hit a little shortcut boost over here to take us to the chest near the Dark Crypt. Shoot these boxes, make sure we don't just run into them and grab a chicken. And then we're going to have a little drop-off shortcut here towards the gladiators. Shoot some of these baskets, shoot some of the heads, and check for 2 potential key spawns down here. Not great loot over here, but I have a saw blade, so I'm going to kill these gladiators. They give you a little extra points compared to normal enemies. And we're going to shoot the head and then also backtrack to the head that we initially boosted past. Keep in mind that the FPS playlist has a bit of damage drop off. You can't snipe heads from too far away. And also, we're going to enter the Dark Crypt here, replenish our nuke. And the 6-arm guy outside, we're going to keep him alive. He's actually going to despawn and drop his loot. He'll be back though, but he'll drop the loot, which is good for when we leave this bonus room. And while we're here in the crypt, we're going to shoot the head and open the chests. Just be careful. Sometimes the spiders are a bit pesky. As you'll see, I killed that one. I'm like, oh, good, I'm done killing spiders. Oh, wait, no, there's another one. Let's smoke him as well. So at this point, you might have a key or two. You could pop them here. There's 2 key chests you could open. Might as well open them because there is a guaranteed key coming up here in a few minutes by the gem tower. There's these 3 baskets here by this chest. I'm going to leave them till the very end in case they have something useful that I want to carry over to the other part of the wild. So I'm going to open these baskets here in a moment and you'll see a pair of Furious Boots. Don't mind those. I'll take that and get out of this bonus room a little quicker. Although there ends up being a pair of Furious Boots from the despawned 6-arm guy that I mentioned a moment ago. So I just refreshed them there. So I'm going to shoot this head here and then grab the chickens. I know I said I don't grab chickens, but I'm not going to be shooting any heads for the next 60 seconds. So I don't mind grabbing them. I'm going to check the weapons there. Nothing really that I want to grab over a death machine. I'm going to go over here and do the Blightfather shortcut. I do have a video sort of going over that more in depth as well. So wait for him to get on the stairs, then hop on the spring pad. Boom, he'll blast you up. Make sure you drop a nuke or a boost to avoid full damage. And since I have a death machine and 5 chickens, I'll smoke this Blightfather. If I did not have the death machine, I probably wouldn't bother killing him, as it could take a bit of time. I would just use armory to kind of get around him while opening these chests. But I do kill him, and he gives me some boots as well, so it ends up being very much worth it, I think. 1 key spawn there, another key spawn back there, although I don't see it, so I end up retreating. There's going to be a 3rd key spawn here by this waterfall, by the chickens. I do see it there, so I'm going to grab those chickens so I could get the key. So the main point of going up there is for the potential key spawns and also the chests and gem, the 3 chests and 1 gem that they have there. Because you end up wasting a bit of time going through this little pathway area, although sometimes you could get something good from the baskets. I got boxing gloves and burned my ass trying to get them for some reason. I wouldn't advise doing the same. But while we're here, we're going to hook a right and open this key chest since we have a key, and also shoot this bat spawner. The bat spawners are a little tougher to shoot with chickens to avoid kind of your points being robbed from you. I'll show you a little trick to do with the chickens for zombie heads later on. But for now, we're going to go down here. While you're collecting that loot, by the way, if you have a key, kind of just run in circles to avoid being shot by the bats. Right there, you're going to take full damage. And I end up taking extra full damage here, which wasn't the plan, so I kind of make a run for it, jump in the water, no full damage from the water. But I end up foregoing a chest and a bat spawner, which was a mistake in the grand scheme of things, but I'd rather, be safe than sorry and take a death and ruin the whole run. So at this point, we're going to backtrack to the gem pillars over here. To grab each gem, just jump up next to it. And we're going to shoot the head as well. And then we're going to do a bit of a trick to get the key on the tower. I have a video on this as well. Take this pad and aim for the back left portion. Some gems there, some chickens, and a key. You're going to take some full damage here most likely, so make sure you open that weapon chest and then enter the kaboom room. Use a nuke if you're, about to die from full damage, by the way. You'll get the nukes back here. So now I have 9 nukes, and there should be some purple weapons waiting for me outside, along with some despawned loot from the 6-arm guy. So since I have purple weapons and 5 chickens, I'm going to shoot this guy, although most of my bullets are sadly hidden in the leaves here. But we end up killing him, and he ends up dropping some good loot as well. We're going to make our way over here, and since I have chickens, I'm going to shoot towards the ground here to make sure the chickens don't shoot the head. That's a way to circumvent the chickens from robbing you of points, although it's a little inconvenient if you're being swarmed by many heads. So right there, I had a key spawn in the dungeon. That's why I drop into the dungeons for the key usually. Sometimes it spawns, especially in that dungeon. I did have a dark crypt as well in that dungeon, but for the sake of the video, I'm not going to explore it since it's kind of a very heavy RNG type element. I did hear a key by this dog head. I'm going to go there nonetheless and shoot the head, grab the death machines, open the chest, and grab the key. And while I'm opening the chest, I could take a look for this elephant. He might be within shooting range, and I could kind of smoke him, especially with a chicken on me that I got from the dead 6-arm guy before. So at this point, I would have had a 7 times if I didn't mess up with the chest earlier, or maybe if I entered the slideaways and grabbed a couple gems. So you could notice like a little mistake like that ends up costing me some points, but things like that are naturally going to happen in your run, so don't sweat it too much. So over here I'm going to shoot the head and kind of position my bird to where it's not shooting the dog. Same thing with that. You can't do it too well with the bat here, so I'm just going to smoke the bat. And at this point you have an elephant coming up ahead. Make sure you grab the purple death machine, smoke them real quick. You do get good points from killing the elephant and other underbosses, such as the 6-arm guy. So I'll go into full details about that later on. But I'm going to go over here and pop this little chest. So we're going to pop this door open, shoot this dog head, and take a look at these chests and potential key spawn out here. The weapons here aren't too important, although I will end up grabbing the death machine in case I need to use it on something at some point. And at this point you'll want to make sure you have at least 3 keys to open the 2 doors and the door leading into Akari. I'm doing pretty good with keys. I still have a lot of keys to explore on this side, but I'm going to enter rather the 3rd dungeon here. This one usually doesn't have much going on in it. You can't get a dark crypt from this dungeon. But what it does do is we might get a potential key spawn, and also I get invincibility frames, leaving it to where I could kind of take out this warden and then drop a nuke as I cross through the lava here. Over here, could jump on this rock. Sometimes you have a little trouble jumping on that rock, but went smoothly here. Gonna grab the 2 keys, take the spring pad, boost over to the other side. This is the oldest trick in the book. I'm sure a lot of people know about this one. And then we're gonna cross over. I could pop these keys hypothetically, but I'm at a low 7. I'm not close to a next multiplier, so I'm not gonna pop them. I could always come back later and open them if I have spare keys after Akari. But Akari is going to be the main money-making opportunity. Akari was not in the game when the game originally launched. It was released in August of 2021. So in order to get there, I'm going to dive in butt naked into the lava with a nuke, hop on the invisible plank, pop another nuke to cross over. If there was a key on that side by the boxes, I would boost to it and then back with another boost. But there's no key, so I'm not going to bother. But I will pop these 3 chests and also shoot this Megaton since I have a death machine. Get a little extra points for shooting him while the gold renders in. There are alternate ways of entering Akari. You could check out videos of mine related to that. So we're going to enter Akari here. There are 2 chickens you could grab, but I'm not going to grab them. I will shoot these boxes in case there is something useful in them. And keep in mind there are 23 zombie heads in this Akari, so that's a lot of points, along with gems and treasure chests and things of that nature that you could open up later on. While I'm here, by the way, after you eliminate these 2 heads and grab this gigantic gem, which is worth 2,500 points on a 1x, by the way, once I'm here, I'm going to pause the video here in a second. You could kind of look up here and see if there's a key spawn, especially if you're like positioned further back than I am right here in this screenshot. But you could check the top left and the top right for a key spawn. Sometimes it's very hard to see unless you have your glasses on, so maybe it's not very viable. But over here, I didn't really check too closely, so I'm like, oh, let me just double check and, you know, see if there's a key up there. So I'm gonna make my way there right now. Take the spring pads. I'm essentially wasting 15 seconds or so doing this, and there ends up being nothing really of value. A piece of silver, you know, over here I think there's a speed boost or something. So a bit of a waste of time, but maybe you end up missing a key then if you don't have the best eyesight like me, sadly. So we have some Nosferatu heads. They're pretty weak on a solo match, so we could kind of gun through them. And then also we could crouch in the FPS playlist to get through this flogger. There's going to be a pair of boots there that you could grab. Just keep in mind, if you run over Nova Gas with the boots, it's going to essentially negate the effects of it and chalk your drop. I still have them here, so I'm going to grab them. And it could be helpful to sort of take the spring pad first before shooting these ghost heads. I end up shooting the ghost heads first, and then they kind of jump on my jump pad before I can. So I need to wait a few extra seconds. There are some chickens above me as well. Again, I will not be grabbing them. But I will take these spring pads, grab these coins, and also do a bit of a trick here. grab these 3 speed boosts, and then I'm going to do a trick to boost over to the gems and potential key spawns up here. Make sure you don't jump on the spring pad when you boost over there. Kind of back up, jump backwards over it. And then a little speed boost over to the Margaret chest over here. Shoot the head, open the chest. I don't step on the pressure plate immediately. I don't want the Margaret to swarm me, especially while I'm on 10 frames waiting for these gems to render in. I'm going to step on the plate just about now. The Margaret comes out. I see there's nothing in his little room that's worth grabbing, no keys, so I'm just going to boost away from him. Not worth killing him with a pea shooter, but I will collect these coins. They are very valuable. And grab these 3 death machines to make them purple. Pair of boots here, going to smoke this skeleton head. And it's good to be patient here on this part of Vakari. Sometimes you could have a silly death. I get very greedy here and jump and barely make it. That could have been disastrous, but here I am. Final portion of Vakari, going to shoot these heads. And then I'm going to smoke the werewolf. You could grab the chickens hypothetically, kill the werewolf a little quicker, but I don't want to really be shooting the heads with the chickens and worry about shooting them in the ground and this and that. So I kind of take some damage from the werewolf. No big deal. I'll replenish my health here in a second. And I have a lot of keys at this point that I could pop these chests with. And 2 potential key spawns right in the back. Just make sure you don't hit the egg at the end. It will exit you from the level. You want to make sure you grab all the gold and gems first. These gems alone on a 7 times and an 8 times is going to yield me over 1 million points. And then probably like another 1 to 2 million points from shooting the heads earlier in the slideways. Or in the Akari rather. We're going to leave that and then shoot a couple of these heads here. I would not recommend exploring the full volcano unless you're kind of pro with boosting up it. But we'll use our remaining equipment to kind of get back to the start quicker. At this point, if you have extra keys, you can spend them on the chest by the lava that we passed by earlier, but instead I have no keys, so I'm just going to hit the teleporter. I'm a bit of a sucker for XP, going to hit that teleporter. And then you could play round 5 if you want. Round 5 is not bad for XP, or excuse me, it's not bad for XP, but it's also not bad for score, because gladiators give you extra points. And then after round 5, go through the door, check if there's a Poppy's Pirate Plunder maybe. Sometimes you'll get one after round 5, that's good for score. And then right after that, pretty much at the start of round 6, you could just quit your game. In the past, I would have recommended keep playing until you die. Use your 7 times, use your 8 times, and, go through the rounds. It's not a bad idea to do that, but it's not the most efficient. If you're trying to finish this challenge as quickly as possible and put it behind you, you'll want to restart immediately at the start of round 6. Or even immediately, at the end of the wild as soon as you kill those heads outside of Akari. Practically, if you don't care about any of the XP. Anyways, that's the full run right there. About 6 million score in just under 20 minutes. Game over. Anyways, now for the third portion of the video. We'll now end the video with some in-depth score values to keep in mind. Certain enemies in the wild provide more points than others. On a one-time score multiplier, Megaton Splits will award 200 points when killed, Gladiators are 250, Wardens are 350, and Megatons will give 500 points. Mini-bosses such as the Elephant or Werewolf will give you 5,000 points. Enemies that spawn from heads do not award any points in the wild, but you do get score for shooting the heads that they spawn from. Here's a chart with fairly accurate values of the points awarded for each type of head spawner, and you'll notice that playing co-op will award even more points. But keep in mind, the heads will be stronger with more players in the match. This is where life donations can be handy, as they are very effective with the guaranteed purple weapon that they provide, but life donations also usually provide chickens. So you do need to be careful with those, because as I mentioned earlier, you'll usually get a bit less score if the chicken deals damage to the head. Other items such as Sentry and Sam turrets provide less score for head spawners as well. Now, playing co-op can be a bit impractical in terms of finding people willing to help you with the goal of the 1 billion, but in a 2-player score run that I did, I managed to get 7.5 million points in 20 minutes, which was a lot more efficient than any of my solo runs. Apart from more score from head spawners, co-op matches also allow you to save time with routing strategies. For example, a teammate can grab the keys over on the lava side, which is a non-score activity, while you make your way over to the Akari entrance. Or you could check the keys in the Blightfather path, and then when you're done with that, have your teammate warp you to the Kaboom Room to save time. Point being, you could get creative with your teamwork in the wild. As far as treasure goes, silver pieces are worth the least. Gold gives you a bit more, but not enough to where it's worth grabbing every piece. The main highlights are the gold turtle, which gives you 250 points. The skull coins give you 500. The smallest gems will give you 250. The medium-sized gems found in slideways give you 500 each. The larger gems found in places like the pillars over here give you 1,000 each. And then the biggest of gems, such as the blue one by the Megatons in Akari, will give you 2,500 points each. So anyways, a bit of a long video here, but I think it's pretty extensive and hopefully helpful. If you're someone who plans on going for the 1 billion, it's of course a pretty taxing journey. So I think a video of this length is perhaps appropriate, sort of giving you a complete overview of what to expect before you dive into this challenge. Whether or not you think it's doable or even worth it for you is entirely up to you to decide. In my old guide, my top advice was, don't go for this challenge. Now I say, why not go for it? If anyone watching this video has already completed the Dark Ops challenge, or is currently going for it, please let me know your progress in the comment section below. Also drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.